1 minute. There you go. Have a good meeting.
Should be all set.
Okay, thanks. Oh, hold on. Thanks, Maria. Yep. Okay. The Scituate School Committee is committed to providing an environment of respect during meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there is disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcomed and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. Right, let us call the November 17th, 2025 school committee meeting to order tonight here at 6:01. And I will start tonight with public comments. Anyone in person who'd like to come to the microphone, or anyone remotely who'd like to make a public comment, please raise your hand at this time. We'll ask you to unmute. Okay, not seeing anyone. We will move forward with our student report.
Really just for those folks who are, okay, you can just speak extra loud. All right. Well, for athletics, the following teams qualified for the state tournament: boys and girls soccer, girls volleyball, field hockey, golf, and football. The October sailors of the month were Colin Maloof, Finn Sears, Stephen Basnacht, Katie Long, Riley Peterson, Mike Casagrand, Aiden Williams, and Micah Whitaker. Scituate High School continues to grow academically and rigor to put our program of studies. Our innovation career pathways, project Lead the Way programs, dual enrollment courses, and school-to-career internships are thriving. This month, Scituate High School has added anatomy and physiology, physics, and pre-calculus as dual enrollment classes. The SHS administration team attending a webinar on chronic absenteeism in high school across the state. With a current attendance rate of around 96% each day, helping students with chronic absences remains a main goal at Scituate High School. SHS held the first MTSS meeting on Wednesday, October 29th. Supporting struggling students remains the focus of our MTSS initiative. SHS is excited to announce that 11 students have earned the opportunity to receive college credits at the Rochester Institute of Technology because of qualifying grades and test scores in a Project Lead the Way class. Also, congratulations to our 2025 VFW Voice of Democracy winners. SHS is proud to announce the winners of this year's VFW speech competition. First place was Elena Rydell. Second place was Victoria DeCosmo. And third place was Bridget Ryan. Also, congratulations to the math team, which finished second overall in our at the first of 4 SMML math meets at NDA. SHS students Christo Brown, Charlie Carnes, Maya Robinson, Emma Quirk, Nolan McGuire, Isla Anderson, and Haley Gill attended the sportsmanship conference at Gillette Stadium, where they learned the importance of teamwork. 41 SHS students have qualified to receive the John Abigail Adams Scholarship because of their high academic achievement on the MCAS exam. Mr. LaRanger emailed home a letter congratulating the recipients and personally handed the students their letter of achievement. For guidance news, the PSATs were successfully administered last week to the entire sophomore class, as well as about 100 juniors who signed up to take the exam. A big shout out to the department chairs and the high school counseling staff who proctored the exams for students. Over 23 of our senior class has already applied to at least one higher education institution. As of November 10th, the counseling department has processed over 800 applications for 120 students so far during the college application season, and we're not done yet. We've had over 25 college rep visits to SHS this fall. We're pleased to report that many students took advantage of the opportunity to meet with college admissions officers in a small group setting. And then for an upcoming event, the school counseling department will hold a post-secondary planning event for caregivers of college-bound juniors on Thursday, December 4th at 6 p.m. in the high school library media center. More information about that is to follow. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Luke. Anyone have any questions for Luke or any comments? You were at Model UN, right?
Oh yeah,
How was it?
it was so much fun.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. It was
Tell us about snow in Canada.
yeah, there was a lot of snow, a lot of work. We had some long committee sessions, but it was it was very rewarding.
Awesome. How did SHS do up there?
We did pretty well. We got 3 awards, which is pretty good. It was a pretty competitive conference, I think. So we got 3 outstanding delegates, which is pretty good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite takeaway from?
Oh, I don't know. My committee was like a court case. It was an ICJ court case, so it was a different format for me. I really like that exploring.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Great.
it's good.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad everything went well. Thank you so much. Feel free to stay as long as you are able to, but if you have other obligations at any point, do what you need to do.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Up next, we have a presentation by Matt Cropper, who is with Cropper GIS Consulting, and for a presentation on redistricting of the new school. Dr. Robert, you want to introduce? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have Matt Cropper, who's with us virtually. His firm is out in Ohio, so he's joining us virtually today. He'll come in person for some of the later visits. But he's here to outline a 6 to 8 month process of how we're going to walk ourselves through this redistricting. We know that we're opening the new elementary school in September of 2027. And now is the time to start thinking about all of that. So he's here, he has a slide deck. We can start teeing up that slide deck, and then he'll walk us through the process. And this is really the first public opportunity to start talking about this. So feel free to listen, feel free to ask any questions that you have. And then we're anticipating the first public session in December.
Great.
So it's going to all be happening relatively.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rob, and members of the board. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening. I'm here, as Dr. Rob said, to give you an overview of the process regarding the redistricting study that we're about to undertake. I did send you a slide deck. It was longer than what I'm going to present. I have a lot of the slides hidden that are kind of the more detailed information that we're going to present in December. But if you have any questions or follow-ups, we can always refer to those. So we are Cropper GIS Consulting. We are K-12 planners, and we do this kind of work for school districts all across the United States. I'd say we probably do about 10 to 15 different redistricting studies on an annual basis of different magnitudes and different levels of community engagement and sort of different processes. But honored to be working with you guys on this particular effort. This is just the type of work that we do on a daily basis. I am Matthew Cropper, president of the company, and honored to be working with you on this. Our company is 20 years in business here in about a month, and so we've been doing this a lot, and honored to be working with you guys. We've done a lot of work in the across the United States, anywhere from 1,500 to over 150,000 students. And so we bring a lot to the table in terms of how other communities have tackled challenges and how they've addressed different elements of redistricting. And we also bring experience with the technology to the table. With Geographic Information Systems, stands for GIS. GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. It's basically a mapping tool that your town uses, the Census Bureau. Pretty much all communities and government use GIS to map things out. So we collect a lot of their data, and we develop a lot of data from the school district to be able to make accurate estimates. And as we work through it, it's a good way to communicate, but also make sure that we're efficient and accurate as we estimate enrollment and look at various options. So why are we doing this? I think everybody knows, but just to recap, the district is launching a redistricting study to prepare for the fall of 2027. You're opening a new elementary school on the Hatherley school site, and also discontinuing the use of Cushing Elementary. So our primary objective is to create zones for the remaining K-5 schools, the remaining 3 schools in the district. You've got the new school at Hatherley, Wampatuck, and Jenkins Elementary School.
Mr. Cropper, can I interrupt you just for one moment? Do you want us to be having the slide deck posted?
Oh, yeah.
You can-
Do you not
okay.
see it?
No. You were doing such a great job, I didn't want to interrupt you, but
Thanks.
yeah, you should be able to present.
Here.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Okay, so yeah, but just a little backtrack. These are the districts that we worked in. You know, a lot of districts of different sizes, and then just who I am. I think I covered that pretty well. But these are the objectives. So basically, the primary objective is to establish zones for the district's 3 K through 5 schools, including the new school at Hatherley, Wampatuck, and Jenkins for the fall 2027-28 school years when it's planned to be implemented. We're going to look at zones and enable the community to be part of the process and give them the ability to see what's happening, to give them resources to be able to look at maps and provide feedback. And as we do this, in addition to looking at capacities and programs, we're going to be looking at other criteria and other factors. And I'll talk about those in a second. So we were hired to utilize our expertise in doing this to facilitate the work with committee, with some different stakeholders in the district, and then ultimately work with this planning team to provide a recommendation to the school committee when it's all said and done. So as we look through options development, and when we start getting into mapping and looking at boundary options, we always look at a set of criteria. And these are criteria that we work with across the United States. I would say they are best practices, things that most districts use this set of criteria. And I would say that when you look at these criteria, think of them all in the same basket. The best plan is going to be one that touches on these criteria in terms of adhering to them, but not focus too much on one element of the criteria. If you focus only on one of these criteria, you start to deviate further away from the other elements of the criteria. And so these include to balance school facility utilization. So people sometimes ask, do these criteria have any weights or priorities? I would say that balancing school utilization is really kind of the one that takes precedent over any of the other criteria because it's kind of an objective and a criteria. We want to make sure that there's equitable space in all the schools as we go through this effort. But then also we want to be mindful of the future growth potential. Where are areas maybe seeing more students, maybe some housing coming in, whatever the dynamics are, different areas of the district, we may need to add more students to a school that may be sort of in an area that doesn't have a lot of development growth potential, and fewer students in an area that's growing a lot. These are all kind of things that we'll have discussions about, but we at least be mindful of what not only where the kids are now, but what we anticipate with future enrollment. In addition to utilization, we're also going to be measuring and tracking the demographic composition of schools. So what is the current demographics of the schools? And as we develop options, what would the demographics what are their estimated demographics? So that's going to help us make sure that we don't create any further imbalances in demographics. And if anything, if possible, try to make schools be very similar to the communities of the whole district that you serve. Looking at close proximity. So try to assign students as close to their home as possible. And so that kids, knowing that these are children, getting on and off the bus, you want to make sure there's a little bit of time on a bus as possible. So try to assign students as close to their home if we can. But that also segues into bus efficiency. So if we have zones that are efficient and sort of the school is centered around the zone, if possible, you have more efficient bus transportation. So that kind of comes along for the ride. We want to try to make a contiguous zone. So what we don't want to do is go into the middle of an area and draw a circle around a neighborhood, a subdivision, or an apartment complex and zone it to a different school further away. It's the best practice to have one zone per school, if at all possible. Feeder patterns aren't is something that we can look at, but I don't think it's going to be so much in play here. It's going to be the focus is really on these elementary schools. And we're also going to be looking at major roads and geographic features, roads, water bodies, railroads, natural and man-made features to kind of draw the lines along. And that helps kind of align with the other criteria, really. And then in every single effort that we make, all the options, we will be measuring how many students would be impacted. And so in doing so, we want to try to make the plan that moves the fewest number of students, minimize the overall impact and on students as we make these changes. So we will be looking at data that supports decision making as it relates to these criteria when we start working through options development. And I will always tell the team, the planning team, and members of the public that these are the kind of the data points, the criteria that we will focus on. I think the hardest part with redistricting is that there's a very big emotional component to it. People have emotional ties, loyalties to schools. They love the school their kids go to, and so they are very emotional if they see the potential of them getting moved. We take that into consideration. That's all things that we're compassionate for the emotion, but it's most important to separate the emotion from actual making data-driven decisions and focusing on what's best for all children in the district as we work through a plan, and not just focus on the needs of one particular neighborhood or subdivision or school community. So, so this helps us stay aligned in making data-driven decisions. We have a series of stakeholders here. I talked about us as consultants and that we are basically facilitating the work and providing all the materials to help facilitate the work of the stakeholders and providing resources to the public and our planning team. The planning team is the group that we're going to work with mostly, a couple meetings a month to look at options, develop materials, look at the resources that we're developing for the different public and community engagement meetings. And so this planning team consists of district administrators, senior leadership, people like from transportation and people who know things about the programming. And this group is going to work with us through options as we start to prepare draft options to share with the public to get feedback on. This group will try to build consensus with this group as we work towards a recommendation to present to the school committee. The public, we will invite them. Our first public information session is on December 9th. And the slides that I'm sharing with you will be shared in addition to some other slides that kind of give the public an overview on the resources and tools that we're building. But we're developing a website that will help be a resource guide for people. And on that website, there's going to be things such as a background report that gives them kind of all the criteria, maps, the stakeholders, our objectives, all that sort of background data will be there for the public to be able to use as a resource. We'll have an online interactive map that the public can see, and also the planning team and myself use it very, very heavily to kind of zoom in on areas and see what the geography looks like and how the area is laid out, and as we start to evaluate options. So the public will be invited to look at this website on the 9th, and then we'll also have a general feedback form that's kicked off that night where the public can start providing feedback to us and give us any insights even before options maps are shared. And so the school committee is sort of more of a high level role in this process, and that they're going to give us our marching orders, but then let the planning team do their work. The school committee often handles things that are related to policy related decisions, and things that are at a higher level that are not typically handled by school administrators, and keeping the committee to make those decisions. But ultimately, you as members of the school committee are going to be voting on a redistricting plan, and you'll have the ability to make changes if you see fit. I mean, I always tell people that nothing is final until it's approved by the school committee. So everything is draft. Even once it comes out as a recommendation from us and in your hands, it'll still be draft. Nothing's final until you approve a plan. So looking at our timeline, we've been preparing. We're meeting with the planning team on December 4th, our first meeting on December 4th. We're going to talk about the first public information session. That's scheduled for December 9th at 6 p.m. That's actually going to be a webinar where we'll have a presentation and then we will have a Q&A after. We found that at this session, options maps aren't being shared. And so typically when we do these in person, this first public info session, they're not as heavily attended because there's not a whole lot of breaking news at this meeting. But with the webinar, we usually have at least 10 times as many people participate in the webinar because they feel like they could chime in, check in from their couch, and get things done and ask questions and have some dialogue, even doing it virtually, like we have slated here. Working from that point on, from December 9th, where the planning team is solely focused on bringing a series of maps and options to the public, which will be shared on February 25th. And that's going to be an actual on-site where we'll have a presentation and then we'll have a gallery walk to look at maps that'll be on easels and statistics. Public members will be able to stand and look at the maps up close. Planning team members and consultants and staff will be around the maps to have discussions with them. And there's also going to be a survey that accompanies that public information session that's going to give them the ability to give us further input. Like I said, December 9th, we're going to have a general feedback form that's going to be introduced to the public. So they're going to be able to already give us input or any kind of opinions or thoughts even before maps are shared, along with all the other materials that we're going to introduce to them. So after February 25th, we're working with the planning team. That survey is going to run for a couple of weeks. And then we're going to regroup with the planning team, finalize recommendations, which are planned to be presented to you on March 30th. And then if everything goes as planned, school committee is anticipated to vote in April on a redistricting plan. That gives you plenty of time, once that's done, to go through sort of the three biggies that I call are notifying parents of where they're going to go and students, work through staffing and what, with the new school and estimated enrollments, what do you do with staffing, and then transportation and how do you route buses and working through all the transportation logistics to make sure kids can get to school via the transportation methods that you have. So the next steps after that December 9th public info session, we're going to be meeting with the internal planning team 1 to 2 times per month, going through options and materials. That public info session is on February 25th, and that's where we'll have maps, like I said, and then leading up to a final presentation of recommendations to the school committee on the 30th. So look out for us for December 9th. That's where we're going to have the webinar, and we'll share a lot more details on what's to come and how the public can participate in this process. And with that said, that's all I have to present tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Any questions?
Okay. Yeah, I have just a general question. I know that thank you for that. It was helpful. I know that obviously the purpose of this is because we're building a new school, but are you collectively looking at the entire district relative to attendance at each school, or you're just specifically focused on the new school?
No, it's we're going to be looking at the entire district and how to distribute enrollment among the schools with the changes that you're making to schools. We're looking at the entire district. So I would say, like I said, we're going to try to minimize the impact, but I think the expectation is that any student or any community in the school district could be affected as a result of these recommendations.
Put a finer point on that too. It's all 4 elementary schools are impacted, so the internal planning team will consist of all 4 elementary principals. We know that the new school has 4 sections of each grade level, and currently when you combine Cushing and Hathaway, there's 5 or 6 sections depending on the grade level. So, likely anywhere from 8 to 12 sections, and you have to move out to Wampatuck and Jenkins. The entire purpose of this study is to kind of figure that out. So it's all 4 elementary schools are impacted by this.
I have a question. One thing we've noticed historically is that sometimes there are kind of national trends to enrollment data that we see here locally, like the kids who are currently in kind of the tail end of the high school is a bit of an enrollment dip. And that's true, I believe, also nationally. I've seen articles about how it's kind of going to be easier to apply to colleges this year because of that, honestly. And then we see currently a bit of an enrollment spike in the early elementary schools currently in our town. And so I was just curious how you think about kind of that national trend data, and if you are also taking that into consideration when you're looking kind of further down the road, if you sort of how you kind of think about that.
Yes, I think it's always good to not with the data that we're working with, we're going to be working with current enrollment. So it's the best data set to use to set the foundation for schools, because it's just because we know where the kids are living and what grade levels they are and what schools they go to and things like that. So it's the best data set to work with. But with that said, we're also going to be looking at other information, such as we like to break it down by grade level, so we can see, are there bubbles moving through, or do we see sort of bigger outgoing classes and smaller incoming classes, or the opposite. And so that all kind of comes into play when we think about not only the current, but trying to have these hold as long as possible, and to have as much longevity as possible. Typically, when we do this kind of work, you won't need it's not something where you're going to need to go back and revisit or evaluate boundaries for several years. I think these do hold. They in our experience, once we're done with the plan and have our estimates, they hold for a good long time. So unless something substantial changes, but we do focus on not only current enrollment, but also looking forward and see what kind of things can be thrown at these options that may cause fluctuations or unanticipated changes in utilization. And that's something that we definitely try to hit it from that angle as well.
Thank you.
No. Well, it's more of a
person.
it's more of a Tom and Ryan question thought than any. So I've seen these studies happening where I've lived in urban areas where they've come in and done it. I've been to public meetings that, because of the way they're held, they end up being wild and disastrous. And it's because things are lost in translation. And so I'm just wondering, while we play a high level role, I'm thinking about the open office hours that you've been offering, and I'm just wondering, are you planning sort of continue those? I just feel like people are going to need a place to come and be like, the numbers say this, but here's my reality, to be able to sort of get that in there somewhere. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on that process.
Absolutely. I absolutely plan on continuing the office hours. That's been very helpful for me. In addition, there is community surveys built into this process.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we'll be asking people for their experience. I've had conversations already about what happened 25 years ago at Jenkins, seriously, and some of the pitfalls that were happening. And, one of the stories that's been related to me is, we did all this work, and then at the end of the day, the bus couldn't get down the road, and so it changed. So I've heard some of those, and we're listening carefully to that. So no, I think this is one process we're going to be absolutely collaborative. Certainly, at the end of the day, we're going to have to make some tough decisions, I'm sure. But I'm really hoping we can get 90-95% of the way there with a consensus, kind of people understanding what they need to do. It really comes down to the enrollment, and it comes down to how many students we do need to move from the two schools, and that's exactly why we have Mr. Cropper with us.
I just think it's a nice combination of the GIS data and then the sort of lived experiences of folks will be really important. And I know the surveys will get that, but even in survey data, that can get sort of reductionist if we're not careful. So I think having those open office hours and qualitative, while we can't accommodate everybody, but like if we're making our best efforts to hear and listen and understand, so I'm glad. And maybe even the school committee could hold office hours too.
I would actually, not to decide tonight, but perhaps at the next meeting, one member to liaise with the internal planning team would be great. If one member was willing to. So not to add more meetings to one, but it would allow one member to kind of be that liaison. So think about it.
Sense. Thank you. First glimpse into things, and build on from here.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation and for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night. Happy Thanksgiving too.
Thank you, you as well.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Crazy. All right. Up next, Marcel St. Jean and Course Foundation. Presentation. Update.
Hello. Sorry about that. Gotta take on my throat. My name is Marcel St. and I'm here on behalf of the Course Foundation, also known as Scituate Community of Resources for Special Education. Course Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was established about 25 years ago. And our nonprofit organization helps fund in a variety of programs to ensure appropriate staffing in ratios of special education expertise to all children, those with or without special needs, in the age range of 3 to 22, so that they can successfully participate together within their community. Some of our programs include Best Buddies, which is in elementary, middle school, and high school. Some of our summer programs are Maritime Adventures and skateboarding. We also have Nautical Mile that runs throughout the year. There's a fall session and a spring session, and also during the summer. And we're also in partnership with Scituate Recreation and Scituate Public Schools. Some other programs that, the reason why I'm here is that we are wanting to get our name back out there in the community, and to help. We have a lot of new families, we have a lot of existing families, and we just want to get our name back out there and help reintroduce ourselves and to help bring in some new families, and of course keep our alums. But we're wanting to reach a broader group. Like I said, we know there's a lot of new families in the area, so just want to get our name out there. And some of the other programs that we do, let me go back. We supply, we have programs that run during the summer, and we get funding from grants and also from fundraising. Some of our fundraising events is the North Pole Express, which we actually just had. It was a drive-in movie, which we just had on Sunday. That was yesterday. We also we're planning on having a Giving Tuesday to help raise some funds, and a new event that we established during the springtime was Exams-a-thon, which actually was during April, which was during Autism Awareness Month. So we have that the theme was around autism awareness. In middle school, our funding helps with a band consultant for the Gates Middle School band program. It's Mr. Sorrentino. He's actually been helping out since the inception of the Gates band program. And this year he's working with 33 percussion students, and of which 16 students are either on IEPs or have 504s. So that's what some of our funding goes to help out with. And also we help provide partial funding for agendas for the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And that was established, I believe, about 3 or 4 years ago. We saw that there was a need to help out with some of the executive functioning piece. And so we, between the PTO and course, we help supply funding for the agendas. And we also help provide t-shirts for the 6th grade orientation for the 7th and 8th grade student volunteers that help out during 6th grade orientation in August. And the other nice thing about our programs and some of our events, it also provides opportunities for high school students to earn community service hours and for graduation. And we do actually have a lot of recurring students that come back and help out, because they not only do they enjoy the programs, but they really do enjoy working with a diverse group of children within our community, and they find it very rewarding and enjoyable. So we're very grateful for our high school volunteers. And we've also, in the previous years, we've also provided funding to help support music therapy and yoga in our pre-K classes over at the Early Childhood Center, and over at Hatherley in the ILC and the PLC, which we're hoping in the future we'll be able to work with them again to provide those programs. So again, the Course Foundation has been around for about 25 years, and we get funding through grants and also from our events. And I apologize if I repeat myself, but we are coming. One of our next fundraising events is going to be for Giving Tuesday, so we hope everybody can be on the lookout on our social media pages on Giving Tuesday, and also working on some other spring events such as like the dance-a-thon will be held at these middle school. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Well, so what can we do as a school committee, and if you don't, this is more just like food for thought, like if there's anything, you don't have an answer now, but is there anything we can do as a committee to support you better from our role? If you can ever think of anything from your stance that you think we could be helpful in any way from where we sit, where you sit, in partnership.
Yes.
What could the school district do differently or better to help support you? We're always here to listen and learn to do better from our seat.
That's a very good question.
You don't have to have an answer, but just to know that, we're always here to support you.
We appreciate that, of course. I would say that the past several years, with everything that's kind of happened with COVID and change of things on the board, that's and the change within the community as well. Like we have a lot of families that have aged out of it. We're kind of in a middle piece where we have a group of kids, but it's not quite the same as our older and not quite what we have for younger. So I guess kind of maybe helping with our families with younger children, and even middle school, because middle school is the tricky area. You're in the middle there. As for specifics, I would come back to.
Yeah. So like bridging some of the gaps, maybe like getting maybe more younger families or like newer families involved to sort of get more.
Yes.
Okay.
I know one of the things we're trying to do is also get some of this stuff that you referenced, like the music therapy and yoga programming, into our budget.
Yeah.
So I know that doesn't necessarily build up course, but it does take something that course has long offered and provided for kids and put it into our operating budget. And so, that's a way that I think is a material way for us to really support the agendas and families. The agendas are another, thing to think about. I know some of the special orientations for kids coming into Gates that are, particular in the summer, like those, I think is another good example.
Yes, we do offer the summer sessions for the incoming sixth graders.
Those are great.
That just gives them the extra time to be in the building. But yes, helping out, with some of the funds that they could go into budget would be helpful, because there are some longstanding programs such as the music therapy that has been over at the ILC and PLC, and that to help continue those to go through some assistance with that could be helpful, like I said, bridging that.
It's almost like established and launched by course, but then if we can almost, since you've founded those and they're clearly needed, and well run, just kind of core now for the district, that the need has been established. We need these components, and they're clearly they've served students well, and they're need to remain, that we can, the value's there, so it should be maybe picked up.
I can also tell you that, I volunteer at SEF, and we're also going through some growing pains, kind of similar. And so I think also there's just value to some of the smaller kind of like little nonprofits that existed, and then COVID happened and that kind of shook us a bit. I think there's just value in us connecting too, so maybe we can connect just on the side, just at some point about that, because I think there's a lot of parallels.
Yes, there is.
I would, I'll speak as a past board member, one of the early on. Has it been 25 years? about 20, probably 20 or something. But I think just speaking about the success of course and what made it so successful early on was that the parents of the kids with special needs were really active. And they're the ones that from my perspective, they're the ones that made it successful. So I think that probably some of the younger families aren't aware of it. And once they become aware, I would assume that they would support it as well. So might recommend, as you already noted, that to inform the younger families that these resources are out there.
Yeah.
Try to generate that. I'm sure you're already doing that, but that would be my perspective for sure.
But maybe they need the district to like connect with those families.
Yeah, I think it was started like the ECC, start with those families because that's where the majority of them are.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
think. And I think, like you said, it's important for the community to know what you guys are doing to support the district and their students. I just have to say it, but I know that one of your big budget items is probably Best Buddies.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's where you spend a lot of your money. I would just
I
continue
think
to look
between Best Buddies and also it was with the music therapy
yeah,
at the ILC and the PLC
yeah.
and at the ECC. Yes, those were some of our larger.
Yeah. So I would again, now that I'm on the other side of it, as Nicole said, that you guys already established these great programs, and if we think that they're important enough to continue, that we could find a way to support them so that you guys don't have to do it
Look at you,
entirely.
John.
Understood. I'm actually looking forward to meeting with the course on board. I haven't had a chance to get all our community partnerships, so this is one of those opportunities.
Like I said earlier, we are in a planning mode of getting back out there between PTOs and starting with the school committee is to more or less, reintroduce ourselves, but to say we're still here and we still provide these programs and to help people who may not be aware of us and what we do offer, and also let you know there are lots of resources that we can help out with when it comes to families with children with special needs, and it's just trying to help bridge that gap in reaching those families.
It's great. Ari?
There we go. So as the business person, my first thought was DECA. So for help with marketing, we have the DECA club active in the high school, and I believe we're in the process of improving, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, business marketing as one of the pathways. So again, potential for working with your group is one of their projects or other type things, or another way, as you already mentioned, of fulfilling community service hours.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like you brought up DECA, I'm in that club and I know a lot of kids in Best Buddies who really like it. And so I'm sure that a lot of students would be happy to collaborate and reach out to, like you said, kind of spread the word and get more people involved. So, yeah.
He's been a former helper,
Mhm.
former volunteer.
Lots of ones.
I do have some flyers, and I can leave that by if anybody's interested. But I do thank you, the school committee for your time and for everybody who wants to come in and to speak.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Teaching and learning update, Assistant Superintendent Lynch.
Thank you. For this portion of the agenda, I have a few updates on teaching and learning. So last Monday, November 10th, we had our Professional Development Day. That was our third full Professional Development Day of the year. Each year we have four. So all of our staff, just some highlights, all of our staff, PK through 12, were trained on the Open Architects platform by the professionals at the company. We had a separate PK5 session, and then we had a 6 through 12 session, just because the focus on the data can slightly be different. Obviously, like early elementary, they're looking at DIBELS and universal screener for numbers, number sense. The secondary level, more time is spent on sometimes course grades and things like that. So it was good to have the time to have the open architect staff train our teachers, and then the session was followed by some time for our teachers to look at their own student data. So some of the preliminary feedback in the survey from teachers was that they appreciated that time. They'd like more of it, but it was a milestone for us because we spent a long time collecting assessment data from various platforms and pulling it into one space, and that was really an important rollout for our staff to be able to access that data and think about how it can help them support students, target areas where students are doing well, and look at areas where students might need more support. The platform's not perfect yet. We like to say there's no system test like go live. So we've gotten some good feedback on certain aspects that some of the data can be improved a little bit, but there's been a lot of work put in by department chairs, curriculum coordinators, and principals to really make sure the dashboards look like they need to look for our teachers. So we're excited to be able to grant access to all staff and move forward with a little bit more of a simplified data focus. So that was an exciting part of the day. Departments also spent time making progress towards specific focus areas. We had some project adventure work in PE, some grade level math collaboration time at the elementary level. Our district nurses worked together with Scituate Fire Department, so we always appreciate that time to work together and build our skills. So that was how we spent November 10th. Speaking of student data and benchmark testing, we've completed at the beginning of the year benchmark testing at the elementary and middle school levels. An exciting improvement this year was extending the length of time that teachers have to analyze the student data. So each grade level has a half-day data meeting to work together to review the results, think about intervention groups. Our school adjustment counselors and school psychs participated in that and shared some of the HSA data. So in the spirit of MTSS, where we have academic and social emotional learning data, that was an important step forward. And at our next school committee meeting, I will share the grade level results for beginning of year assessment, so we can all track progress. I also wanted to share that we do share that benchmark data with families too. I don't know, just as a reminder, in 2022, the state passed a regulation that the early literacy data regulation that said that we had all districts have to notify families at least twice a year in grades K through 3 if their student scores significantly below the benchmark. That's the minimum requirement. Here in Scituate, where we're sharing benchmark data K-5, not just literacy, but also math. We did have a couple of technical challenges uploading the reports. Those were fixed thanks to the efforts of our curriculum coordinators and Steve DePross, our MIS person. But I just want to highlight that we think that's really important for all parents to have information about how their students are performing. So we're trying to share the best data that we can. We have some improvements to make, but I just wanted to reflect that we're sharing more than just the minimum. For students that could be significantly below the benchmark, we're sharing with all families. So we're going to continue to do that and make sure that we're technically doing it the best we can. But that was also part of the beginning of the year benchmark testing. So families can expect more data when we do our middle of the year in February. And lastly, teachers at the elementary level are also engaging in cross-district professional development days. We've heard feedback from teachers that they really appreciate that time to work as a grade level team. So for example, like October 28th, our grade 5 teachers came together at the Scituate Town Library to work together to discuss ELA focus areas. Some of that information came from MCAS testing, and our curriculum coordinator and reading specialist provided some good strategies for targeting those areas where more support was needed. It was great to see all of our grade 5 teachers from all 4 schools, along with some of our special educators participating. So we're really excited about that and appreciate the work that teachers do to be out of the classroom, but with their colleagues, and that will each grade level will have an opportunity to do that. And during November, K teachers are going to get together to focus on ELA, and the grade 3 math one is coming up as well. So yeah, that's just three bullet points I wanted to share on some teaching and learning data for this month.
Thank you very much for the update. All right, we're going to stick with you on the calendar for 26, 27.
Great. So
One of our favorite topics.
So thank you for, sorry, would you like me to start?
Always.
Thank you to the committee for the feedback on the first draft of the calendar that was presented at our last meeting, October 20th, I believe. The only other change that we made is to parent conferences. So I think I kind of flubbed this question last time, and just to be really clear, there's only one date for parent conferences, and it's K through 12. That date is going to be Tuesday, December 15th. That's when we offer conferences at the elementary, middle, and high school level. We moved it to that week closer to the holidays because we want to make sure we can get past day 60 at the elementary level, which is when report cards are produced. And that provides a good topic of teacher parent meetings to have the report cards available, so our principals agree that conferences in December 2026 will be on Tuesday, December 15th, and that's when we run a half day so that students go home early, and then teachers are available in the afternoon and evening to meet with families. So those are the two changes that have been made to the calendar, the proposed calendar for 26, 27.
Well,
I think we're going to ask the same question.
yeah, about the conferences, because it's, we've had them historically, like different, elementary is one day, and then middle is another. Because might have a family that has,
Like
Brandon.
in the market.
might have a
And the Harris
student,
Civil Council.
say, have a student in every grade, like every elementary. But yeah,
Sure.
so what are we gonna do?
So what we do with that is the same way we do it this year when they're run on December 11th is I'm sorry, I don't have the schedule immediately in front of me, but elementary have openings during the day, and then high school, middle school will go into the evening. So if you needed to do your elementary conference, there'd be plenty of slots during the day, and then there's middle school both in the afternoon and in the evening. So we feel like it's our thought that there's enough flexibility that if a parent even had students at all 3 levels, that they would be able to find times to speak with their students' teachers.
I think it's hard to
Stay
schedule. It is. It's hard. It's always hard to schedule these. We've gotten feedback every which way. Don't do it during the day. Do it during the day. Don't do it. Like you say, it's not an easy thing to schedule. I think where we mostly land is if a parent really can't make it work, they can always reach out to the teacher who can then set something up outside of that day. So I think that's what we try to message to people.
Yes.
And so it's just. It's
That's
never
hard.
going to be
That's
easy,
hard.
even if you do it 3 days in a row. I think it's still going to be tough.
I agree. That's hard no matter what.
Yeah.
However, this is probably the hardest version for parents. To do it all in one day is tough. Or it feels tough to receive it, I would say. Just to say like, oh.
It's also be hard though to see my elementary school gets out early on Tuesday, my middle schooler gets out earlier on Wednesday, my high schooler gets out earlier on Thursday.
Yeah,
That's also hard.
That's sort of like that's kind of like back to school night.
So,
Ideal.
Yeah,
You
so
know?
you don't win either way.
Yeah,
So
I
that is
don't think
fair.
you win. That is fair.
it's the signing up. It's that.
The signing up is
Try
tough, also regardless of how you
Yeah.
do it.
It is like, it is, because
It
it's
is.
impossible.
Yeah.
At the middle school,
Hard
it's
to get
impossible to get time.
Yeah.
That is true. With teachers, so.
But again, I
I mean,
think
I think
teachers in general are just
Do
amenable
that.
to.
Oh,
You know.
100%. But I think for newer families, I think the message also needs to be just that, which is you don't have to wait till December. And
Yeah, maybe that's
you know, that kicking off at the back to school night, maybe you're trying to meet the teacher before, because there's a chance you may not get a slot. I just think for newer families who don't know that it's like getting Super Bowl tickets or Taylor Swift concert tickets.
Yeah.
It is though, it's true.
That's
So,
true.
I mean, I end up doing separate times other than that, because it just doesn't
Right.
work either for
Tuesdays
our
are hard
schedules or the
too.
teacher's schedule.
On that point, I would also advocate for the back to school night to be more presentation focused, because I do think that's a time, it's a golden opportunity
Yeah.
for the teacher
Right.
to have a captive audience
Yeah.
of families in front of them to really get out a lot of those, like, here's how I do grading, here's where you find my materials, here's how blah, 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 blah works, you know? And a lot of those early questions are answered all at once,
Yeah.
you know, in that moment. But if it's not done as a presentation, then that's kind of just a missed opportunity. And then a lot of those questions kind of are lingering, and then I think it turns into a lot of emails and this I gotta talk to this teacher. You know, the parent conference is really supposed to be, I need to talk to this teacher and this teacher, maybe not that one, you know. You're not really meant to necessarily
Right. It is
go
just
and
a
talk
quick
to every
check-in.
teacher. You know, it's really,
10 minutes.
it's
Or 8
6
minutes,
minutes or whatever you have. You gotta really think about who you're going for
I know.
and why. You know, you gotta
No, it's a
go in
quick
with
check-in.
a quick question.
Yeah.
It's not meant for anything other than that, so.
And we'll bring the back to school night.
Yeah, I just think that
Questions
could
to
be
the
an
principals.
opportunity to kind of resolve some of that need earlier.
So can I just highlight two important points that I think that you made? One is that this isn't the only opportunity. Number one, it's the only opportunity for parents and caregivers to check in with teachers, and that teachers are very flexible and communicative about student progress and are passionate about that conversation. So whenever families feel like they'd like to reach out, we encourage that. And then number two, sometimes at our higher grades, we don't see as much participation. And so with this event on the calendar, we do encourage families, even if you're fully tuned into Aspen and how your student is performing, to take this opportunity to check in with your students' teachers and to hear about how they're doing. Even if they're doing great, it still helps to hear news about how your student is performing. So we would also encourage some of our families at the higher grades to take advantage of the opportunity and to check in with teachers on this night. So those are just like two important. And we recognize they're short. We try to fit in as many as we can.
No, there's no perfect solution.
Yeah.
Appreciate the efforts, but the way the calendar is always tricky.
I just have two specific questions that I don't necessarily the answers to. First is, I'm assuming all these conferences are in person and not online. I know that during COVID, there was like a hybrid approach. I'm not sure what it was.
Some
That
schools
was nice.
still
It was
maintain
nice.
that. Some
So I just didn't,
schools-
I don't necessarily care which way it is as long as everyone knows that there's a hybrid
Some
option.
schools do still do hybrid.
Yeah,
I
just
think
wanted to
that's
mention that.
nice, actually, to offer.
That just makes the teacher really have to switch to, like, they have to be super succinct in their time. That's just a question. That doesn't necessarily impact. And the other one was, at these teacher conferences, will adjustment counselors and/or guidance counselors be included in this at the high school level? Do we know? And it may not be appropriate to speak to them at that point, but I'm thinking that it could be. I think probably more so on the guidance counselor, potentially. I'm not sure. Just a question.
We can check on that, but it's my understanding that all staff participate in conference night as part of the contract. So if that's someone that the parent wanted to meet with, I'm sure they could make an arrangement to do that via email.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Just, The last day of school, June 18th, is a half day.
That is correct.
Okay. And if, just, this is just me. This I noticed that if we go to June 25th, that's also, the last day of school will always be a half day, no matter what day it's on.
That's correct.
Still wish that there was a way to not have the kindergarten start so disjointed from, I know that it's a product of this particular start date, but not a fan.
It's only like on the third day.
I know it's the third day, it just feels so disconnected from the rest of the district because it bumps it a week. I just wish there was a way, and I know if they started on the third, they'd be going one day and then.
It's just too hectic for them to start on the same day. Which is true.
I'm not sure. I think they may do screening. I think that there's lots of picture taking that happens as well. And
Trying to break a system that's not.
No, just,
Let me get a clear answer, but I'm pretty sure they do screenings and so forth.
they do, they have like, remember those like little small,
Yeah.
I just remember, I have a first grader, so this is fresh in my mind, they have little small group meetings, you go in, you learn how to like do lunches,
Sure.
backpacks, and the,
Protocol.
you know, like, so that is sort of like the parent training. They do
Because they're coming off a long weekend, it might not be as disconnected as it feels.
Yeah.
It's like the older kids will be starting fresh on that day too, so it might not be as bad as you think.
Yeah.
It's not like the kids are going like all week and then the kindergartners come in like on a Friday or that day, right? They've only been there just the day.
I think the K doesn't open house too on like the second day of school, but on the third, I'm almost positive, I could be wrong.
So they get some.
They get a little bit of time.
Yeah,
You want it to feel like
they get
lagged
to visit the
for
classroom.
them,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that is, I think it's good.
Yeah.
This program is 2 days. It's just-
Yeah. Didn't want it to feel like a weird.
It does feel like a lag, but I'm not sure that we can keep.
Just wanted to vet it.
Yeah. But when you look at the count.
Yeah.
I'm always just looking at.
I know,
We're obsessed
I
with
know.
it. We're obsessed with
Trying to make it
calendar.
better, let's just trying to fix any little thing I can.
Please vote.
Janice is about to bring up an
Okay.
Achilles heel, let's vote.
Seriously,
Someone
let's just
making
vote.
a motion?
Yes.
Yes, please do.
Alright. I make a motion that the school committee approve the school year 2026-2027 school calendar as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, school committee goals 25-26. Second reading, second review, what you call it. John, present. It's the circuit board. Yep.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah, and then the last slide is the goals.
My
You're on. This is studio.
Is it me?
Ryan, do you have the?
I'm here.
Ryan, oh, it's me, okay.
I'm Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
You can just scroll up to the last slide.
Yeah.
Last slide.
Which one or one?
I don't know, it's on
Um,
the studio.
But just go to the
Recap?
last.
Just go to the
Just
last slide.
Okay. Okay.
There you go. You can make it bigger.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, so as a reminder, we started talking about these in August. We had, and then we had a workshop with Sean Costello from Mass, who also gave us some background education on school committee goals and how they flow with other goals in the district. This is what we wanted to work on this year. This is our second reading.
Excellent. Any questions or feedback from school committee members having reviewed these goals? Carrie Green crafted from.
I think these goals are great. I just had a question, I guess, as I'm looking at the superintendent goals and just with some of the other things going on in local communities, do we have a regular monitoring of the budget I know that we had talked a little bit over the past years, we're just not sure if we have a schedule or a calendar of when we might want to see an update. You know, I don't know if it's every 3 months or 4 months or whatever it is, but just, I think in these times we have to be extra careful that,
We just talked about that after the mask.
yeah.
I'll bring it up.
And I know that we have talked about it in the past, but I just wasn't sure when we were next on the calendar for that.
Probably second quarter. My hope was to do quarterly reports, and as it began this school year, my plan when I wore the other hat was to start doing quarterly reports. So Irene and I have spoken about it, and I know she'll be preparing a second quarter report for the committee's confidence.
Okay.
That everything's going.
Okay, I just want to be sure, I know that I was looking, you know, rereading these, refreshing my mind, like, these are great, but are we missing the obvious? But I think that that's part of our understood goal anyways, I think, something we have to restate it here.
Ongoing work.
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, that's our
You're
job,
right,
is to
though.
oversee the budget.
Absolutely, yeah.
We just need to make sure that we don't have some of the other experiences that other districts have.
Understood. I would anticipate FY26 transfers by the end of December. Then you'll, at that time, you'll also be able to see expenses to date.
Okay.
And then as we go into the planning for 27, you'll start to see those updates.
Okay.
I mean, we could add, if you want, Peter, a bullet underneath the third one that mirrors the bullet that's underneath the second one that says superintendent will share progress or share budget updates quarterly.
And I
Just to-
just want to add that
Have it in there.
we, Tom and I, will certainly be talking about, you know, year-to-date spending significantly more frequently
Yeah,
in every quarter.
Yeah,
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
no, it's helpful, I think it's just helpful.
Yeah.
Tom and I discussed those enrollment updates, that are sort of to that too. You and I discussed.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
see the budget presentation, you'll see a lot more of that information.
We can have it as a goal.
I think it's just I don't know if it's an extra goal, it's just a sub-bullet under what's there.
Under the third, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
under
little
there.
qualifier.
I actually think when we look at that goal, I think the financial part of that is gonna be the easy part. I actually
Yeah.
think the
Agreed.
progress, outputs and outcomes is gonna be the more challenging because we really haven't done that, at least formally. We see it in presentations, but I think it's gonna be really important for the same reason that Peter wants to see the numbers, that we're able to demonstrate if we're spending X number of dollars on curriculum, that, you know, these are the benefits our students are seeing. So, yeah.
Well, I think it goes back to the pyramid too, for us, where we fall in the pyramid from slide one.
Well, and someone was, you know, the community.
It's hard for us to measure.
Well, and I think the community criticized us a little bit from using the idea of ROI, but I
Yes.
think it's really
Actually,
important
where we
as
fall.
good stewards of our
Can't just-
budget, that
yeah.
this isn't about a business, like return on investment. This is, if we're gonna choose, we have limited resources, we wanna make the best decisions we can and be fiscally responsible, and so one way to do that is to see,
Right.
you know, and
This is our job.
and the
Right here.
difference is that we aren't asking for everything to be complete every time. It's progress, outputs, and outcomes, which could be that we've created this thing that will then eventually lead to this other thing, right? That's the output part. So it's not
If it
just
doesn't function
yeah.
well, it doesn't function.
It's what we heard
Right.
from Ryan today in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Hearing about we've been hearing about open architects in theory for
Yeah.
a long time. But hearing now that it's rolled out to teachers is a major milestone.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, so do we want that to read superintendent shares financial updates quarterly? Or do I want to be specific, year-to-date spending? Do we want to put anything in there specific or
We'll do it
just
either way, so.
Whatever, I think
I think that's fine.
Sure.
the team.
on request? What do you want?
Quarterly,
Quarterly.
It's quarterly.
Quarterly.
Quarterly. probably
seems
appropriate.
specifically what
Shares financial updates.
financial people that
Yeah.
seem to use
Quarter.
quarterly.
That is the recommendation
Quarterly, but
for
it-
MASC.
So theoretically,
quarterly
we just
and
September would be the first one theoretically, that's too early?
MASC does quarterly.
You could probably put it.
Quarterly and as needed.
September,
Or as
Something might come
requested.
up that.
well, September, October, yeah.
The first quarter ended September 30th, so there's not a whole lot to
Yeah.
report in that first month of the school year. We certainly could put it together, but it would
Right.
be easier to start with December 30th, because then we have the half-year point, and you could be confident that we're spending. But we can put it up together. One of the
Well, we
reasons.
wanna meet our goal, we already would have failed.
That's what do you mean?
We haven't approved
Beginning
it
with
yet.
That would have been
Wow.
September, would have been the first.
No, we haven't approved it.
Beginning with second quarter.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's an annual goal.
It's rolling.
We're,
We haven't
we're
approved
not
it
there yet.
One of the
Give us
things-
some
We're on
grace.
second reading, okay? Yes.
One of the things Irene and I are talking about is beefing up presentations on the budget. So that's one of the things we've started to talk about and kind of what we're going to put forward, not only in terms of budget, but like you mentioned, enrollment. And one of the reasons why Mr. Lynch mentioned at the next meeting, we're going to do an update on the first benchmarks, is for exactly what you're talking about, to start to see that data, start to see what we're looking at. And how we're looking at data. So I think you'll see a lot more data-driven information coming out.
Fantastic.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve the draft school committee goals as amended with that new sub-bullet. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. We get these stated.
Deal.
Yeah. We'll figure that part out.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Turn it over to you, and Dr. Rob.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm happy to report a second reading of our Director of Support, Engagement, and Advocacy job description. Just to go over some of the changes, you do have the updated document in your file, as well as a memo with some bulleted changes. So we did add LGBTQIA+ among the list of underrepresented marginalized students, and that came out of many of our sort of community surveys. In the second bullet, school culture and climate, we added and ensure those efforts are strongly linked with comprehensive SEL efforts. So this way we're putting together the DEI efforts and the SEL efforts. At the request of the committee, we deleted and implementation from curriculum definition. So this way the person's responsible for the curriculum, but they're not actually teaching in the classroom. And we added to the qualifications, experience in building and managing teams, and familiarity with data analysis. So those are the changes we made. And certainly any other input that the committee would like to make tonight, but I would appreciate a vote this evening so that we can post the job description. That's right.
So I'm not opposed to the description, but the last point around the familiarity with data analysis, in my humble opinion, doesn't feel strong enough. And some of the comments I got from the public were really hoping we sort of beef that up and underscore that. So I wanted to offer, and we can tweak this, but this afternoon I was playing with it, something like experience interpreting and applying data findings to create, strengthen, and expand programs and policies, something around there.
Yeah.
It just feels more like
familiarity.
Familiarity is too broad.
yeah, because they could just
I
say, I know what it is, I've taken
I'm
a
familiar
class
with
on
data.
it, I'm familiar with it, right?
Familiar with the law?
That just feels like they'll have to bring examples of what they want.
Can you
Yeah.
say it sounds more like we need
you want
business?
parents to do something?
I do, yeah.
Yes, we need
definitely.
business with that.
Can you say that one more time? Just-
Yeah, again, we can tweak it.
Yeah.
Experience interpreting and applying data findings to create, strengthen, and expand programs and policies. Because I was
Yeah.
like, new stuff, foundational stuff will get stronger, and maybe foundational stuff will get expanded is what I was trying to cover. So,
So could replace the last bullet with that.
Be curious if Tom and Ryan have any thoughts on that. Seeing as you guys are kind of closer
You're
to
in
the
the-
action
the
of this
weeds.
role than
Yeah.
we
I'm
are.
open to tweaking, I just feel
Yeah.
like it needs to be stronger than familiar, that was all.
I appreciate that. We were hearing that we needed to include data among the
Yeah.
bullets, and we were actually struggling with the best way to say it, so.
For the kids.
You can disagree.
Ryan, do you have thoughts on?
I think that works.
Excellent. Great. Well, sure. Well done. Well wordsmithed. Okay. Anything else?
No, I don't have, I like all this. My question is, and I know, is the timing, I'm assuming this isn't the easiest time to hire for a position. Is that of concern? And when might we delay the hiring process? I'm assuming it will depend upon the applicants we get.
That's exactly. So I really want to put this out immediately and see who's out there, but we want the best candidate. And so if the committee feels, the interview committee feels that we don't have the best candidate, then we'll start.
I make a motion to approve the job description for the Director of Support, Engagement, and Advocacy
As amended.
as amended.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Dr. Jerome, leadership report. Goals.
Thank you. So this is, again, being new in this role here in Scituate, I wanted to present an opportunity for the school committee to review the goals and then with an anticipated vote in 2 weeks. So this is an opportunity for me to gather feedback and to really think about what I'm putting down here. These are my thoughts right now, and I really would appreciate feedback from the committee so that I can tweak these and update these to make sure that they work for both of us for the rest of the school year. So the first thing that I do, and this is a way of presenting goals that I've done before that I found successful, but again, I'm open to anything in terms of how to do this. The first thing I like to do is I took a look at all of the standards for superintendents here in Massachusetts, and I identified 6 that really become power standards for us. These are the things that I'm going to be looking at. Certainly, I'm required to be proficient in all of the standards, but these are the 6 that I want to really focus on. The first is instructional leadership around evaluation of teachers. Later, we'll talk about a course that we're all taking together, and that's really going to strengthen our evaluation for all the teachers here and the administrators as well. As we've talked about over and over again, data-informed decision-making is part of a proficient superintendent, and that's certainly going to be one of the goals that I'm going to be striving for. We talked about fiscal systems, developing a budget that supports the district's mission, vision, and goals, and so that'll be a big part of what we do. I didn't explicitly put a budget goal in my goals, but I felt it's a power standard that I've been working on. Certainly, my background and experience, it's kind of understood that that's what's happening. So. And then 2 on communication, both for family and community engagement as well as professional culture, and really focus on communication all the way around and how we communicate with the staff and community. In many of the staff know that I've been publishing ramblings around evaluations and how we're doing evaluations to support the department heads and principals. In the future, I have plans on more communication with the community, with the Cushing Pathway project and different things like that. So people will start to see more communication coming from my office. And then in professional culture, continuous learning. I'm a student just like everybody else. I'm taking the next steps in my career, and I'm making sure that I'm always continuing to be growing, and I want to make sure that that's a priority for the district. So if we look at the 5 goals that I've articulated, the first one is a professional practice goal, which really talks about the 2 major courses that we're taking. The first is analyzing teaching for student results, and all administrators, assistant principals, department heads, curriculum coordinators, Mr. Lynch and myself are taking this course through RBT, and it's really strengthened our ability to do evaluations of teachers. We'll have consistent evaluations, they'll know what to expect. And then a smaller group, about 6 of us, is taking Leading Strategically, another course that will help us focus our efforts this year. So it works really well for professional practice for me to take those 2 courses. Not only for my own professional development, but there'll be direct impact on the district here during the year. Do you want me just to plow through them and then you can stop for each one, or I'm open to either, whatever works for you?
I have a question at this juncture.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Like we always do.
Goals 2 and 3 are similar. They're written pretty similar. One is focused on ELA and the other is focused on math. So as we started to unpack the district data, we are trying to strive for a 3-year goal of 80 to 85% students proficient and advanced. And in that situation, we want to see how we're going to get there over the next 3 years. And so I took some time over the weekend, now that we've all been trained in open architects, and took a look at the data. Oh, that's
There we go.
we're back.
Yep, we're back.
Didn't know we were gone.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Okay, we're back.
Thank you.
We're always here.
I think they can hear us.
They can hear us,
They
yes.
probably can hear us,
Yeah,
just
okay.
couldn't see us.
Yep,
Um,
we're good.
It's not really much.
It just
But-
looks weird.
Yeah, it just looks weird, yeah.
I was like, who's the studio?
Yeah. Sorry.
No. So I broke down goals 2 and 3. Goal 2 is focused on ELA. And again, to try to make this a little bit more specific and measurable, I focused on grades 2 to 5 star benchmarks as kind of the area that I'm going to be focused on. Not because I'm not interested in what's happening in the middle school, but the middle school, they're doing STAR for the first time this year. And so before I get evaluated on it, I want to have some sense of where they're going, what some of the trends are for the middle school. And at the high school as well, 9th and 10th grade will start. This is the first year we're doing it. But at the elementary schools, they have a history over the last 3 or 4 years of doing STAR benchmark data. And so I want to approach 70% meets or exceeds expectations by the end of this year. And as I took a look, we're not that far off. In grade 2 was 60.1%, grade 3 was 65%. I know this says fall 2026. It's fall of 2025. I'm not reporting the best we have to take. But it's, I think of the year as FY26. I forget sometimes over 25, in fact. And so.
Right, you're thinking ahead.
I think ahead. And in 4th grade, we were at 61%, in 5th grade, 62.2. So we're not that far off from that 70%. And one of the things that I can do is really, now that I have access to Open Architects and continue to that, one of the things that Open Architects does is it looks at the state standards and indicators for each one of the students, specifically our results. And that allows me to work directly with the principals, not only on resource needs, but what is happening in the classrooms, what can we do, particularly at the superintendent level, assistant superintendent level, to make sure that they have what they need to meet these goals. Maybe that's more classroom materials to increase text complexity. Maybe that is particular manipulatives that the teachers are looking for that would more be in math and ELA. But those are the kinds of things that I want to work very closely with the principals on and make sure that we have equitable resources. Some of the elementary schools, I didn't report individual results here, but I want to focus on that, making sure that the equity is there. And so really what this is about is that second action step, which is reviewing needs with each elementary principal to ensure equitable resources are available, and then reviewing the results. I'm going to start attending some of these agency meetings, not all of them, but just to get a sense of what's happening, what the teachers are talking about, and how they understand that they have support at the top for what they're doing. And I think that's important. I think it's important for the teachers to see that we're right in there with them as they're figuring all of this out. So goals 2 and 3 are the same, except goal 3 is math focused. And in math, I'm actually challenging myself for 75%, because in math, in this first fall 2025 benchmark, grade 2 hit 67.2%, grade 3 67.9% meets or exceeds expectations, grade 4 69.3%, and grade 5 73.6%. So because we've seen a significant increase in the fall benchmark for math, I'm challenging myself to 75%. I figured 70% was set the bar high. And I wrote approach because, again, we're going to do everything we can to try to influence that. And we do have a 3-year goal internally of getting to 80-85% over the next 3 years. So I think this will help take a significant step along the way. And it will help the teachers understand that I'm committing to this just as much as they are. So I'm putting my own standard as far as what we're looking for as the interim superintendent. So that's goals 2 and 3. Goal 4 is a district improvement goal. And here I really did want to challenge myself as we've been talking about hiring this director of support engagement and advocacy. I put it down as a goal. We're going to do it anyway. But I put it down as a goal because, again, the goals are where I'm going to focus a lot of my time. And this is something that's very important to the district. And so I want to make sure that we have the time and resources available to do it. And so I've articulated what we just did tonight, create a job description for the new position. And then we'll be working on an interview committee, and we'll be asking members of the committee if a member wants to liaise with that committee as well. And then, as I said, in January, interview selected candidates and hopefully make an appointment in February. But again, as Mr. Gates said, we're going to pick the best candidate. If that doesn't emerge, then we'll come up with a plan to do it. And then finally, my 5th goal, to write the triennial plan that the district just mentioned. So this is exciting for us because this really will align everything that we're doing around ELA, math, and
Such a nerd. I love it.
So, and we've done a lot of work already on this. The administrators met in a retreat this summer. They started putting together a lot of the MTSS SEL goals. And so we'll be working together over the next 2 or 3 months to put this together. I would hope to have it complete by March of 2026. I think it needs a bit of a runtime. This is a lot to commit to, but we're really going to be focusing on ELA, math, as well as the SEL DEI for the district. And we want to create a roadmap through the end of 2028 that allows us all to know where we're going and what we're doing. And then also to align our school improvement plans, which you'll see at that time as well, with this triennial plan. So we're really trying to, the pyramid you showed earlier, really trying to align everything, get everything moving more direction. So I'm committing to it by making it my goal. And that's really kind of where I'm at. So I'm open to any feedback, any thoughts, changes.
So I have a couple of thoughts. I'll start with the easier one first. In goal 4, it's interesting because goals 2 and 3 feel very ambitious, and goal 4 doesn't feel as ambitious. So I would love for you to think about an action step being something of like semblance of a plan, or something where it's not just we've hired this person, but this person and your team are already thinking about what this might look like in its first iteration. That feels more, I don't know, I just would like to see it. If we're gonna hire someone in February, they've got a bit of time. It'd be fun to hear like even just what are the preliminary thoughts and ideas of what this could look like. So just a suggestion, not a requirement. Can I ask my other question? Is that okay? All right. For goals 2 and 3, I did not bring my data binder. I thought it was online. I thought we had it online too.
We do have it online.
We do? I couldn't find it. I'll have to look. I love that you're being aggressive. I think it's so important that we really start pushing this needle. I also want you and your team to be successful. And so I'm wondering, how much did you look at the year-to-year percentile change to see if a 3-year 80% goal is possible? I don't know, did you do that? You did?
So Open Architects actually shows this the last 3
Yeah.
or 4 years. So, and I've been able to go back and take a look at it
Yeah,
and see that over 3 years, I think 80 to 85% is
Possible.
possible.
okay.
I feel like I'm starting a little slow here.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
And you actually don't have the first fall benchmarks in your data binders yet.
Welcome to the new.
Yeah,
It's the one.
okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the other thing I think that'll be really cool is the fact that you're doing it in this way. I wonder if in those data meetings and using Open Architect, you'll be able to start to figure out like what are the pieces that really start to move those percentiles. 'Cause I mean, I know these are different kids, right? But I just wonder like what are the, again, this goes back to like process outputs and outcomes, and really being able to say, we know that when we do this, we get a little movement in that percentile. So that's pretty cool.
Fascinating. Good
Yeah.
to see what.
Yeah, that's what I
This
mean.
is what
Like,
we've
I don't feel like we've really
Right.
done this, so.
That's what you've been looking for.
I was really into it over the weekend when I was looking at Open Architects and seeing how some of the standards were in and the indicators and what we're doing with those, really beginning to unpack those. And I started to write some of that and I felt like I was getting way in the weeds. So
Yeah.
this was an overview, and then we are certainly going to be unpacking all
Great.
Yeah,
Feel sure
can't wait to
that's
hear.
it. Learned.
Yep.
Good.
I just wonder, in goal number 1, how you have the time to take a course.
We're doing it during the school day.
Are these courses online
on
or in
Zoom?
person?
No, it's in person.
10%.
A combination of in-person and online, but it's during the school day. So we've actually put the entire administrative team together. We're actually on 4 days into it already. We started over the summer. We had one a couple of weeks ago, and the next one's in January. But no, it's a three credit legit graduate course. Both.
Yeah, we're 5/7 done.
I like goals that I'm almost done with. But
Well, like just,
You need to
spent
have
a lot of
someone,
time
we don't know how
in
smart
it,
that is.
and, yeah, it's been really helpful to get everybody on the same page with evaluation, and we heard
Love that.
consistent feedback, trying to give educators consistent feedback, implementing the new rubric that people have. So that's, the course has really been helpful in doing that, but it is a lot. Every administrator in the room for a full day. So we have 2 left, January and February, but it's, yeah, just spend the time.
research for better teaching.
Yeah.
I just have a question about, I know this is the DESI form, and so therefore, there are things about it that we might not
We've asked
understand.
I actually
But
You've done a great job with it.
But no, it is,
Or it's
thank you,
horrible.
this is much more coherent. I'm very
It's
happy
an
with it in a lot of ways.
adaptation.
I was more curious about the where it asks if something is a team goal. Because I imagine that you were sort of like, well, it's my evaluation, so if I say yes, how does that make sense? But if I say no, you know, how, you're not actually doing some of these things.
Nothing
And so, like, I was just curious how you were thinking about that, and therefore how we should think about that. And there, it's not an easy, it's not like a black or white answer, I'm thinking, but I just might be interesting to just talk about it a little.
in this early stage, or maybe next time. I don't know if you've had time to think about it, but it struck me.
Thank you. No, I actually haven't. I actually thought about deleting it from the form this week because they're all team goals. At the
Right,
end of
of
the day,
course they
I'm
are.
And then it's used for responsible parties.
Right, but it's
I'm-
your evaluation, so like you don't want to shirk responsibility, but also you can't do these things.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
None of
I-
this is going to be done alone.
Okay,
So
yeah. Okay. I just thought that was something.
I left it no because it's really my evaluation. But
Right.
you know, as I talk to the principals and assistant superintendent, as we develop their evaluations, that's
My question you had answered while you were sort of outlining things was just why? What drove you to focus on grades 2 to 5 specifically, and you've given that?
this data history there, which
Yeah,
I like
which makes
having to
sense.
see.
Yeah, and I liked how you separated out math and ELA, sort of in your goals. That was really nice. Just sort of calling out the strategic plan that we have and sort of its shelf life and how I like that we're sort of refreshing it because it's a choice to just let it exist and play it out. But I think that it speaks to our just the work of the district and to not do that and to sort of get in there and freshen it up and dress it and do what we need to do for everyone, but ultimately for students, and to do the triennial plan is, I think, really smart and will have a better impact and outcome for students. I think it's going to be a really smart plan, so I support it.
One other thing I was thinking about was just now that we're using Google instead of the X Drive, it would be great to be able to think about how to link some of the artifacts that you're sharing as you go, so that when it comes time to go back and complete the evaluation, especially if we're going to be trying to do this like on a quarterly basis in some way, shape, or form, we have that information, especially if like today Ryan's update was verbal, but some of the things that he shared could be evidence towards this. And so just thinking about how we're collecting those artifacts and making them easy to reference in the future so that we're not sitting there being like, oh, when did he say that? And what meeting was that? And that's kind of a thing that we've all dealt with in the past, or digging back through files and trying to find things. And so just any thought we can put towards how we might organize that as we go. It just makes everything easier for
I'm happy to
every party.
Make this more of a living document.
Yeah.
Because it's really.
Yeah, just sliding in some links.
I made another note when I was reviewing it, just that I noticed that it's just a theme of culture of growth and support for all that you're creating, and I think we support that even through our, didn't mean to attack the microphone. I think through our goals too tonight, we're sort of trying to support that as well. You know, that we're setting goals, we plan to review our goals and self-evaluate as we do annually, and we're sort of putting that forward, you know, putting ourselves out there, being vulnerable, being open to that. And you can see that in this set of goals and that we're sort of all doing that together and, you know, setting that same culture of growth and support for all, you know, throughout the district, I think is really important. So, all of that. Anybody else?
No, but
No, let me make some of the adjustments. I can put some links in and adjust it.
very easy.
Easy to read.
I like this
That's like,
template.
what is the adaptation?
Yeah, don't tell them.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Up next, Michelle Godin. We have our Director of Special Education, Scituate.
Mike or,
Yes.
yes?
Fun to project your mind.
Yeah.
Here. Okay, good evening.
What's that teacher voice?
She said no.
Teacher voice.
Teacher voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, thank you for having me. I just wanted to request the school committee to consider an increase to our tuition for our ECC preschool general education program for our 4-year-olds who attend in the afternoon. So currently we have 4 morning session and 4 afternoon sessions. The morning session is for 3-year-olds. Our afternoon is for our 4-year-olds. We are increasing the amount of days available for our preschool students with the focus for next year on our 4-year-olds to get them ready for kindergarten. And currently, each program charges a tuition of $2,500 for the year, which is a very good deal if anyone has ever sent their kids to private preschool. It's also very competitive within the region. We are asking for a mild increase for our afternoon program for the 4-year-olds to go from $2,500 to $3,100. So just an increase of $600. The rationale is that it will help offset the extra cost of hiring, changing our paraprofessionals from a 0.8 to a 1.0, or actually a 0.9, because they would only be working an extra half day. So that will certainly go far to cover that. And we already started preschool registration. Families have been notified there may be a change in the tuition for the 5-day-a-week program.
And just to be clear, this is just for the regular education peers.
Yeah.
The students on IEPs are not charged.
Yes. And it's probably only going to impact about 24 families, depending if our current separate program runs sub-separate next year. So if there are peers in the afternoon program, it might be an additional 8. So anywhere from 24 to 32 families maximum. If there's any questions.
I know you mentioned that you added the extra afternoon to prepare them for kindergarten. Is that the only reason? Were little parents asking for this?
Parents were asking. We also had met with during our contract negotiations and things like that. Preschool is an interesting situation. It's both a general ed and special ed program, and public preschools, some programs, some school districts offer 4 days a week for preschool. Some do a 2 and a 3-day and a 5-day. Everybody handles it differently, but there was, I guess, I don't know, the school committee might be able to better able to voice it, but I think there was some concern about being able to provide more opportunities for our students, and given a transition for next year to have 4.5 days of teaching, and the on the table is for the following year to do 5 days of teaching. This was sort of a good place to start with the older kids. Does that make sense?
Yes. I was just curious.
Yes.
I guess my only question is, if you enroll in PM kindergarten, you're going 5 days, you can't say, oh, I want to go 4 and pay the.
Good question. You mean for pre-K?
For pre-K.
Yes, good question. I think that would be certainly considered. Preschool's not mandatory, so I don't, it's, I guess, on a case by case, we haven't really thought about that, but I think actually, as I'm thinking about it, I think some families have elected to have their student go 2 days a week, not the 4, and then we try to split the spot, so that would certainly have to be considered. It's obviously optional for families, and we want to help them.
Right.
I have a question. Do you offer a sliding scale? Can people apply for any reduction?
They can apply for reduction, but we don't have a sliding scale per se. But
Okay.
anybody can apply for reduction, they just have to talk to you.
Right, okay.
Assume you.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons we want to keep the rates still kind of low, because we want to encourage families to take advantage of this. Like some programs for 5.5 days, a lot more, 3,920 or 4,600 a year. So even just the increase is still a pretty good deal for very high quality program.
What we've done to help families too, which seems to work well here, is monthly payments. So, the traditional way to do it is, 3 or 4 payments, but if it's easier on a family to do monthly payments, Mrs. Cochran will put out paper books. We've done everything with that.
I mean, it seems really, really makes sense, especially looking at the comparisons. That was helpful data to have, just to kind of understand, where other towns are. So it seems like we're right in line still, even with the increase under where a lot of the other towns are for comparable programs. So it seems to be
I make a motion that the school committee vote to approve the increase in ECC tuition for 2026-2027 as presented.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
All right, policy, Brian. Policy, your favorite.
All right, so we have some stuff to revisit from 2 meetings ago that we had tabled because it was a very long meeting.
Yes.
And so we wanted to go back to those things first, and then we can continue. So those things included, we had talked about, Mask had recommended including a memo at the front of our policy manual that just sort of gives an overview of the policies. It's a standard language. It looks like they had actually prepared it for us back in maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago, but for some reason we never posted it. I wasn't around, I don't know. So anyway, the opportunity arises again for us to consider putting that together there. I made a couple of quick updates to it, things such as changing loose leaf papers to electronic files, just, keeping us current. But otherwise, it seems like a really worthwhile chalkboards. It seems like a worthwhile thing to have at the front of the manual. For when people are accessing it, it kind of just gives you, it even answers some of the questions that we ourselves had. In fact, so I thought that makes sense to me. So that was the first thing we wanted to talk about, and then we'll get into the second half of the A's and the first half of the B's. So, any thoughts on
Adopting the
the policy, the intro, policy manual intro?
And we can either adopt theirs, or are you proposing that we create our own?
I am not proposing we create our own. I'm
Simply that
proposing
we
that we
adopt
adopt the
theirs.
one that I have edited.
Yep.
That is theirs.
Okay.
So I literally took out loose leaf and replaced it with electronic. There was
I see no problem with this.
there was a couple of strange things that I thought, all copies of this manual are the property of the Scituate School Committee. It's not a manual anymore, it's electronic.
Right,
So
yeah.
we don't need to say that, right? You can just say, this manual is the property of the Scituate School Committee, that's all. It's just things like that. I reformatted certain sections because I couldn't stand that it was not formatted well. Introductory. Introductory memo. Oh,
It
looks
makes
like this
sense
was
that it
actually
has an
approved
introductory memo.
back in 2017, but it was just never posted. So
I don't feel
originally. Yeah, no, this was a long time ago. It was predated. I think.
Yeah.
So the question is just, do we want to put this?
Personally, I like a good preamble.
It's a preamble, yeah.
Where things want,
Yeah.
it's great. Where would we put it though?
I assume that at the top, so if this, right now in our policy manual, how it starts up here, I assume it would just be another tab up there. We can look at what other districts do.
Yeah.
Right now, it just looks like
so
this.
identical to Mask, that it's
Yeah.
how do we?
I'm sure we can look at what other districts do. I'm sure other districts have it, so we can just figure out how they format it. We'll just do the same. We have to
Well,
ask them to reformat our site, right?
Yes, we
So-
send changes to them.
They probably know where
Oh,
they
okay.
usually put it. We can just have
Yeah,
them put it in
even
the
if
same
it
place.
just
Wait, I have it up because I had to toggle.
Introductory memo.
Yeah, introductory.
It's
there's a
actually
little
is its
line.
own tab.
It's its own tab.
Yep, it
Yeah,
says
it's at the
introduction.
top.
Yep.
Right underneath.
It's
Before the A's.
copyright 2016.
Yep.
Wow.
Are we voting on this? Do we need to vote on
Piece
this?
by piece.
No.
Well, no, just do we need to vote to say that we wanna put this in the,
Doesn't
See you, truck.
we don't have it in our agenda.
No, it's not a policy.
It's not a policy, it's just
Right.
literally like, do we wanna place this there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. All right, and then we wanted to just revisit this first half of the A's that we didn't get a chance to talk about from our last leftovers from the 10-20 meeting. So that was AD through AE. I wasn't sure if anyone had any comments or questions or thoughts they wanted to bring forth.
Yes, me. I think that, so the mission, similar to what you just sort of brought up, same type of, in spirit of that, the mission statement, I was perplexed by on ours. And it became less perplexing when I cross-referenced it to masks because it does appear to be sort of like a boilerplate type situation. Ours is just an outdated boilerplate version. But I guess the question would be like,
Do we want to
yeah, because it seems like the instructions are, you can take this one and boilerplate use it, or like it even says somewhere, take it or leave it. We've created this for you to use, or you can do your own.
I think it would be a great exercise to put this on the back burner of doing our own. I don't think it's a front burner situation, but like it
sounds like
reads
a
as
policy
very
subcommittee task.
outdated, you know?
What do you want to do? Do you want us to?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it reads as outdated. I think we could make it a little more user friendly.
Yeah.
To someone who wants to know like
Doesn't
what
have
is
to
the
be
mission
long.
statement, you know?
Well, right,
It is very
I mean, that was, I guess, the second question was like, well, then.
Yeah.
Who
will
rewrites the
rewrite
mission
this?
statement and what should it say?
I would not be opposed to kicking this to the policy subcommittee and we can take a look at what some other districts have produced and kind of get a feel from like, do other districts stray far from this or do they stay close to it? Like there are certain lines I feel like we could just probably do without or adjust a bit. Like in today's society, our children are continuously excited by new and challenging
Right, it's a little bit
stimuli.
weird. I don't like it.
A little outdated.
Like, I'm a fan of
Sounds
boilerplate
strange.
material when it's just like,
That
it
just
works,
sounds
but this is so
old-fashioned.
not us.
I think we can do better.
I'm not saying everyone's running to read it, but also it's
I
kind
know.
of awful when it is a mission
It is kind of
statement.
important, yeah.
No offense, Mass.
It is. Okay, we can task that, we can add that to the policy subcommittee, sure.
It's another
Other-
word that knows it. Nobody uses that word.
I think we need to update the small income school property.
It's on my list too. Well, the
That's
mask one, now that one I thought was a great case of the mask one covers vaping and it actually lists out all the various relevant
ABC.
product that,
Exactly.
Right.
Okay, we can add that to our list as well then.
that one seemed to be like an up-to-date sort of cut and paste,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, we can just, ABC.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I did get into these.
I mean, it does say any tobacco products, but I feel like we need to be specific.
ADC, yeah, the mask version was, it spells it out. ADC.
Yep, got it.
Tobacco products also.
The wellness policy, we talked about asking, yes. We asked about having the wellness committee that's referenced in here, I forgot the precise name for it, but getting them to come to our meeting because it does say in here the district wellness committee will convene quarterly throughout the year, right? And then it says that they will review the policy on every 3 years. And so we figure we'll probably do for that review. And so Ryan did take that on to make sure we're on schedule for that, get that updated. Because this is quite a long policy and it's,
So if you cross-reference it with masks,
Yeah.
it's not as up-to-date as masks is. And the mask one, in fact, advises that a school committee member be a part of that policy, and it looks like when our policy was updated, we maybe shifted ourselves out of that role, and Mask advises per conversation with Sean Costello that we do our job and get back into that role. That we should be in line with what Mask recommends. If the Mask policy says a school committee member, if they specifically call that out, we shouldn't be saying or designate. I mean, like we can, but we are technically not quite in line with what policy reads on the Mask Club.
Does anyone have any idea when this was?
It's October of
Says 2022 at the bottom.
3 years.
Does anyone remember this?
No.
I remember the wellness policy was just like 500 pages. Yes, it's quite.
It was, and it had like names of people. Like it was just. Oh no. Heidi?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on schedule for an update of the policy, so I think maybe we can kind of fold that in, start thinking about this committee and who's on it. What are you saying we would add this as a liaison role?
I guess.
It says that in the actual regulation, that the superintendent shall appoint committee members, including a designee, to serve as a liaison between the committee and the superintendent and ensure the active functioning of the committee. So it does sound like from the regulation, it would be at minimum, a liaison.
Add it to the list. Okay. That's fine. That's a good catch. Anything else from the A's?
The link is broken in there too. The whole school.
It
bulk
redirected
meeting.
for me at some point.
Oh, it did?
Yes, if you wait long enough, it redirects.
Oh, okay.
Or it did last time I
Yeah, you're right.
clicked it.
Okay.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
Okay. The other one will down below the.
Yeah. I don't know if that's just like a CBC problem or if it's our,
Yeah, because the other
It
one
might
goes to USDA, so I don't know.
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, not to belabor this, 'cause we got other stuff to do. Let's get into the Bs. So we did the first half of the Bs as well. We were looking at,
Anywhere it says selectmen, it should be changed
yes,
to
I
select
got that
board.
too.
There were a bunch
There's
of
bunch
places.
those.
Yeah,
There could be some
talking
more
about-
inclusive language. There's a lot of gendered pronouns as well in this section.
Pronouns, tons of,
Yeah.
selectmen.
Yep, so this was BA through BDF. Yep. I believe that those things can be cleaned up just like by housekeeping. I don't think we need to like vote on them. I think we just.
Right, and
Yeah.
then, so, on that note, remember Sean said like, we
Oh, yes.
don't wait, when we just review a policy and not make major changes to it,
We can still
we
be.
can stay, like, review in the date. Because a lot of these don't have any.
We can go back now
That's
and
true.
read all the policies that we've read this year, so that at the end of this year, people will be like, wow, we were so busy. 25, 26.
Yeah.
But honestly, it'll just be good historically for us to
right.
remember.
Because a lot of
Just
times
don't
you're
know.
like, when did we even?
Particularly if we were
Done.
to have a new member join the committee.
Yeah.
It's just helpful historically. Yeah, I'd like to do that, definitely.
No, it is helpful.
There were a few policies in this section that we have and Mask does not have. And so I know Nicole started to do some investigation as to why that would be. And so we're still sort of figuring that out, but I don't know if you want to add anything else from your research thus far.
Yeah, sometimes it just depends on certain nuances and rationale of like why. Sometimes it's housekeeping. It's like if if it's a policy that sort of doesn't, some committees have just sort of cleaned them out. Like if mask says they've condensed policies and absorbed them into other places, like alcohol or like tobacco use got absorbed into a certain other one, and they've just like cleaned them up a little bit. And if we did not combine, we chose to keep them separate, so we have BAA instead of just like, you know, not absorbing. Other times there's different, you know, different legal statuses or something where if, like we have a required one, like if we have some kind of a contract that requires us to have a policy on something, then we might have that policy for that reason. So it really is, there's just different little nuances to why we might have a policy on something in our district and another district might not. So, but always checking with MASC and MGL and legal counsel as needed.
I did notice in the BDE subcommittees policy, I think, and this came up at MASC as well, at one of the sessions that I went to touched on this. I believe our subcommittees are supposed to have chairs, yes, and secretaries. And I don't think we've been not
Unofficial.
yes, I think we kind of unofficially have, but I think we might want to just like, that's a tiny box to check, but like, this is why we're doing this, right? To make sure we're doing this. So to me, it was like something to pick up on. This to me feels like an area where we could strengthen our work. One of the sessions I went to, they talked about the use of memos from subcommittees as like a strength, just because it helps shorten the amount of time. To talk about something, yeah, I think that's good to think about doing with all of our subcommittees as well.
It was brought to my attention that we don't have policy BAA, which is timing. It's good timing with our goals. Yeah.
Oh, evaluation.
Evaluations.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yes, we do not have BAA.
Does anyone know why?
I don't know. We just have never, I don't know, it mustn't have never been adopted.
So we could add that in.
Yeah.
We could add that.
So
I think it would be good to add that in. I think in this, we've done some evaluation of ourselves in the past. It's hard to
I feel like
find
we've done a lot of
appropriate
this.
tools is my only thing. We've tried some in the past, but I think, you know, this makes sense to me. Right. Looking at the mask one.
Mask has BAA, we do not.
We want to add
Evaluation
that.
of school committees, operational procedures, BAA.
You want to add that to subcommittee?
Yeah, we're talking about it.
We followed a policy we do not in fact have.
Right.
Well, yeah, like,
Right.
we do a lot of this
Look at
stuff.
us.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't have goals.
Right. That's probably right. That's probably true.
That's a genius move.
Yeah. Get rid of it. Yeah.
If you don't have a policy, you don't have goals, then I guess there it is.
Okay. We'll add that to our non-emergency list.
I mean, BA does say conducting concrete and periodically.
BA.
BA, sorry.
So maybe that's
right.
an example of how it was almost like condensed into
So yeah,
one.
mask has BA.
And mask may have separated them and elaborated.
Right, that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
we just
We
sort of
did
mushed
not.
them all together.
Right.
Didn't make it more clear.
The mask model policy does call out SMART goals in particular every time they say goals.
Again, mask updated 2022, perhaps.
Yeah.
Not done.
Yeah.
Here. Well, perhaps, but yes. And hours doesn't reference a date.
All right,
Good
so
catch,
that's, yeah. Anything else on that, our routine review?
All in all, though, looking pretty.
All right, so we have some next steps for our policies that we can add to our list. We do have an important policy to review tonight, which is the competency determination policy. So I'm not going to give too much background because this was already in our memo.
And there's a link to the policy there. But just as a reminder, quickly, this is to help strengthen the policy that we created last spring in reaction to MCAS being removed as a graduation requirement by state ballot question. And the long and short of it is, once every district was allowed to do whatever they wanted there, Bessie saw what everyone did and thought, we're gonna issue a little more guidance here, and then they did, and then this is the result of that additional guidance coming through, and we need to have this approved by January 1st.
Correct.
Want to add anything to that, Ryan?
I would just add that in order to graduate from high school, students in Massachusetts have to meet the competency determination and the local graduation requirements. So question 2, in 2024, it took away MCAS as the competency determination. So even though kids were meeting the local graduation requirements, they were missing the competency determination. So now districts have to make their own. I'm sure you've also seen that there's some spirited state debate about trying to possibly make end of course common assessments and things like that. So that's not part of this. That's sort of being debated, but this fills the lack of competency determination or so kids who graduate from high school. And it deals with the first 2 years because that's what MCAS dealt with. So you'll notice that some of the requirements in this have to do with 2 English courses, 2 math courses, 1 science course, sort of parallel to what the MCAS was assessing. So this is the competency determination part, and then students also need to meet the local graduation requirements. When they do both, they get a diploma. That's all I would like to add. Thank you.
Any questions? So the meat of this, I think, lies in the document that's linked to the policy. To meet competency determination requirements, students must, and then it has that bullet. It talks about mastery is attained by successfully completing the courses below the passing grade during grades 9 to 12, and then those courses are outlined there. And then we have, some call-outs for students with disabilities, special education, English learners, late enrolling students. There's an appeals process. That's all stuff that DESE requires of us to put in, and so all of that is in compliance with what they're asking. Yeah. So this is just a first reading.
Is this much different from any other districts?
Nicole's question was, is this different from other districts? It is not that different from other districts. Some districts have talked about putting MCAS back in, I think, right? But that's been the biggest, most controversial thing that people have done. I think otherwise it's pretty basic. And this is typically what people are learning. The wild card, of course, is just what does it mean to pass the class?
True.
That might look different district to district. And so there's work to be done for teachers to really calibrate and make sure that they're solid and on the same page about that.
Okay, is it? All right, that was just a first reading, so we can digest. All right, we have an approval of some minutes here from November 3rd. None here, any comments? Anyone?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from November 3rd, 2025 as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, warrants.
Yes.
We had tabled them in October.
Oh, yeah.
So I asked everybody.
So these are from the summer. So from July 10th, warrant S 250710 in the amount of $84,606.15. From July 17th, warrant S 250717 in the amount of $844,000, $335.06. From July 23rd, warrant S 250723 in the amount of $646,114.89. From July 31st, warrant S 250731 in the amount of $252,121.50. From August 6th, warrant S 250806 in the amount of, there's no comma there, $200,615.66. Last one from August 14th, warrant S 250814, $154,557.06.
Very much. Correspondences or any business, reminder vote.
Yes, I wanted to give a reminder that Carrie and I will be offering office hours on Friday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. And the location has changed. It's going to be at the Gates Middle School. And so anyone who's wishing to come should check in at the Gates Middle School main office. And the room is very close to the main office. That's where people need to come to the main office. It's 9 to 10 a.m. on Friday. I believe it will go on Parent Square as well, yes. We went in today's town update.
I did, I did watch it. I just wanted to comment on the halftime at the football game, the dance team performed, and they were awesome. It was so much fun to watch, so, I mean, the cheerleaders are always great, but the dance team's out there and doing their thing, and
Yes.
it was really fun. Sure.
Excellent.
I attended my first school council meeting
Oh, yeah.
at Wampatuck. And I thought it was great, and our sole item was MCAS. So we spent an hour talking about MCAS, diving deep into the data and trying to figure out ways to improve. So I think that it was probably one of the more productive school council meetings I've been to. I know we took a hiatus for a couple of years, but prior to then, this was direct. They knew what they were focused on and trying for ways to improve it. They're going to dissect the data even further. They're using the open architect information to do that. So I thought it was a great meeting, and again, it was solely on MCAS. So
That must have been the theme, because I went to one too early in the week, or last week, and they were doing MCAS also, the whole time.
Yeah, so it's good.
That's good.
Excellent. All right.
Motion to
Any
adjourn.
future agenda items that anyone knows? Before we
I know they're doing new career stuff over at the middle school, because I occasionally get information from my 8th grader, and I don't know if Tammy's doing that or other people. It would be great to hear what's going on, what they're learning, because I feel like it's pretty new, it seems like.
Like having to do
the career paths.
Well, it feels like it's an amalgamation of high school selection, career selection. There's a lot of survey taking, so I just would,
Oh, the CTE thing?
Just a reminder, we can actually get an update.
yeah, I just would you only get so much from the 8th grader, so we need to.
Which should we do? Actually, makes me think of somebody I spoke with at the conference. It was, I have the flyer at home, but I know we had to talk about all the colleges that come in, are here for the kids to talk to. But they're like construction companies and people that could come and talk to students about there's not, they offer all the apprentice classes, employment.
That is exactly the note that I wrote. I would love to hear about things other than college applications. I recognize that in Scituate it's probably like 90% going off to college, but that 10% is here.
Yeah.
And they should feel seen and heard. And I was thinking the military, and especially where we're on the coast, the Coast Guard.
They
Right. It'd be nice to hear that reported.
But it's like colleges and like armed services.
Yeah.
I haven't heard yet that, because I know I have this information and I can bring it in, and give it to you, but there's also, I have another company that might want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Police, sheriff, also.
Oh, yeah,
volunteer.
and there's some, the EMT, sometimes just shared the EMT school, a fireman, firefighter, that's coming out for high school kids. Yeah, it's shared through the high school update. I wanted to,
On parents.
add,
There's so much information.
on the
Look
agenda,
at my app.
can we talk about, the mask, MASS conference?
Yes, that was
Just
that
for
was
anyone
mine.
who had gone, and also
Yeah,
I noticed
about
they're switching the location to North Shore next year.
I saw that. I was
January.
excited.
So that may or may not influence our ability to go though, as easily, you know?
You guys can stay up.
Well,
Yes.
and the national conference this year is in San Antonio, and we haven't really talked about whether or not any of us are going, and we've gone in the past. It is really, I thought it was really cool last year to go. It is a really great opportunity, so I wasn't sure. Now's probably the time to talk about it, at least it's in April. So that's a future agenda item.
I'm so excited to hear about its relocating.
Danvers, yeah, great, exciting. Yeah. Sure. I don't know if that's the same like day trip type thing for us.
It is, and it probably actually takes us an
Yes.
hour.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be
Just traffic.
equidistant.
Just track.
It'll be the same.
Yeah.
Great, same amount of time travel.
Exciting.
All right. So, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It just turned my night around. I'm reinvigorated, Maria, for the rest of the evening. Okay. With that, take a motion to adjourn here tonight.
Motion to adjourn at 8:13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.